If you were the ruler of the world, what would you do? Measure things. Came here to make a measurement joke. Great minds think alike. Missed it by inches. PLZ convert. Missed it by 2.54 centimeters. Stupid minds also think alike. This guy measures. Why? 2 chicks at the same time. Goals. Nice one, Mussolini. Attack the moon. Look at that fucking moon every night. It's up there in the sky. What is it doing? Fucking nothing. That's what. That bitch-ass moon can't even decide on a shape. Some days it's all round and other days it's a crescent shape. Fuck that shit. Fuck the moon. We gotta attack it. I'm going to write my name up on that moon and then stop halfway. Just because. Chairface. LMAO. Fuck, that is funny. Make carbonated milk the national beverage. Sir, I think you have a problem. I have a solution. Our carbonated milk. Sounds like you have plans, motherfucker. The world will one day taste the bubbly nectar. There is an Asian drink called milkus. It's actually okay. I prefer it homemade. Things possibly stuff. That's pretty cool. How neat is that? That's pretty neat. Quite neat, actually. Find someone more competent to take my position. I would start a gigantic Pokemon card tournament and force everyone to participate. The winner would become the next ruler, and this would happen every year until we just fail as a society under the rule of 12 to 19-year-olds. Rule the world. No shit. Completely destroy Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and other major social media platforms and put a system in place so they could never be recreated. People need to learn to connect with each other in person again. They need to actually learn how to be likable instead of just knowing what to say to get some likes. They need to learn to value the quality of their relationships again, not the quantity of followers they have. Reddit could stay. It's more anonymous. So, North Korea with extra steps. Not. Everything else would be free and uncensored. Or you could just create programs that help people connect, promote mental health, reduce stigma, encourage healthy behaviors, etc. I would rather get people away from their screens. Another program to help people connect would be the opposite of that. Unless you mean a social program and not an online one. I'm pretty sure that that's what he meant. You to realize that the problem isn't really from the socials medias, but from the peoples themselves. Vanity isn't exactly new. They will find new things to flaunt. Make karma from Reddit useful, national currency. I'd still be poor. Smoke a joint on my porch. What the fuck I want, straightforward thinking, I like it. Replace the Swiss Alps with Swiss cheese the way it's supposed to be. Snap. Tell you what I'd do, I'd throw away the cars and the bars and the war and make sweet love. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. 3 Dog Night, joy to the world. Eliminate zoos and rewild a lot of the world. Cut the population of humans down in terms of surface area and numbers. Force out non-renewable forms of energy, eliminate the tobacco industry, legalize marijuana and gay marriage everywhere. Find a successor that wants to do exactly what I want, so that when I'm inevitably murdered, they'll continue. Also look into being immortal. But then what about the successor, if you find a way to be immortal? Eaton. Make kids' dreams of becoming an astronaut come true by sending them off into space. The catch is Mission Control has their lunch break 10 minutes after launch. Measure everything 30 centimeters at a time. Enslave the masses. Rule with an iron fist. Which I use to fist the masses who I have enslaved. They begin to like it. I make them cum. We fall in love, and they depend on my constant fisting. Start a band called Fist Your Sister. Lyrics are all about family fisting parties. People begin fisting their siblings. Parents fisting parents, grandparents fisting grandchildren. The earth smells like fisting, and in this moment I am happy. Enslave the masses. Rule with an iron fist. Which I use to fist the masses who I have enslaved. They begin to like it. I make them cum. We fall in love, and they depend on my constant fisting. TBH, this just sounds like regular government. Hold an international battle royale for who gets to take over. I would find myself an advisor, someone to serve me, because he believes in me, a wise man of sorts. A dwarf maybe. Banish the imperial system. Metric rules supreme. Great minds think alike, it seems. I'll have my arm spin clockwise and the other counterclockwise and have my head bobble up and down. Pay is now part of New Brunswick and no longer its own province. Drugs. Make a government with a lot of checks and balances, take $1 billion in my bank account and then stop ruling. I would measure the world. Measure. Colonize Mars. First things first, I would get rid of taxes. Retire. Make eating KitKats the right way illegal, so you either have to make yourself and everyone around you suffer or go to jail. Introduce the death penalty for cruelty to or abandoning of dogs. Otherwise, I'd be quite benevolent. I would have a wife in every country. Make every character in Avengers Endgame a gender-queer autistic pock in a wheelchair before watching men children on the internet lose their minds. Buy them a Coke and teach them to sing. Make a rule so that anyone who does something that no one likes, milk before cereal, sandals with socks, etc., they're put to death. I don't really want to rule the world. I'm bad at things. But I would like to hire a bunch of people to advise me on how to go about my goals. I want to help things. We have a lot of hungry and hurting people, animals in this world. We have a lot of people suffering sickness and mental illness, me being one of them. There is abuse and hatred and just all sorts of gross shit. Most of these are complex, multifaceted problems that will need addressed and tackled from more than one angle. So that I will hire a bunch of smart people to help me do that. I just want to help. But I need help to help. This is probably one of the better answers. Or thanks, I was kinda drunk when I wrote it. But reading it sober, I stand by what I wrote. Kill all the lawyers. Ban that one band song 'cause I'm not a girl and I run the world. Delete Finland, it's not like that place was even real in the first place. Straight facts. Get rid of passports and borders. Borders increase funding to schools too. Happy Cake Day, buddy. Thanks. Get rid of communism, make the entire world the property of America, lift the veil in communist countries like North Korea, China, and the EU, no more censorship, and just chill as the USA world becomes prosperous. Then, commission Starship Enterprise NCC 1701, did you just call Europe communist? Is Article 13 joke, how is Article 13 communist? It works against the workers, which last I checked was the opposite of communism. The joke was that the censorship is similar to that in communist countries like China, which is in itself a joke because they're made on different bases. Well, aren't you the anarchist? The entire world is the property of America equals anarchy. In a way, it is. Open borders and freedom of movement is the anarcho-capitalist wet dream. Well, that wouldn't be so bad, I guess, but the implication is that the legal system in place, the American justice system, would still be enforced at every level. Drink a lot of coffee. Immediately relinquish power to a democracy before I become the target of an assassination. Without consequences? Premon knock the worldwide rights from me. Outlaw live-action adaptations of an I'm. I'd throw money at Elon Musk and tell him to make a self-driving monster truck. Retire ban plastic, look desperately for a replacement, I am not qualified. Maybe make a coalition of global leaders with Obama, Merkel, etc., not just libs though, we need us some old-school conservative theorists. I'd put Stephen Walt on the foreign policy board, probably just be pretty chill and make a priority order to replace every brand of cheese at 2 extra toasty, because, why not? Revoke driver's licenses for a second citation for failure to signal. 1. Fund a giant public transit system. 2. Create a 100% estate tax. 3. Break up large corporations and encourage companies to become cooperatives. 4. Seize all unoccupied homes and refurbish them into public housing. 5. Abolish my position. Wait, if you abdicate, how will you prevent the next world ruler from undoing all of your reforms, especially the estate tax? Resign, be too scared to rule the world and accidentally kill everything and everyone, make them use the same units of measurements. Try to explain to people how it feels like. Rule the world, either wipe out all civilization or force people to do what needs to be done, even if they don't like it. Like vaccines, must do to prevent bad things. I would make sure all knowledge is shared so everyone can work together. I would make one language. I would make the world as good as I possibly can and install failsafes in case someone tries to take over. Failsafes will wipe all human life off the planet. Anything I fucking want. Abdicate. I wouldn't abdicate to anyone, I would just abdicate. Does it have to be this world? Can't I pick another honor? Make half 3 or else Africa gets it. Sleep if I ruled the world, imagine that. I'll free all my sons. Murder my enemies in cold blood, make it so you can drink alcohol anywhere you want. At any time you want. Rule the world balance. Make sure I give enough spending in science research so we can get better spaceships, so we can colonize planets. Ban nicotine products. Say some stuff. Standardize and then enforce common sense. I'd free all my sons. Standardize weights and measures by mandating use of the metric system worldwide, at least in all officially published documents and in all state-affiliated organizations. Suppress any latent nationalist uprisings by doing a combination of peacekeeping, peace enforcement, rearranging borders, transferring troublesome populations, cultural reform, and allowing a measure of self-governance for subordinate national groups. Obviously, independent military sovereignty will be illegal, but police forces may organize themselves on a more local and regional basis. Create a civil service made up of people from all over the world, educate them in a common culture, language, set of intellectual and philosophical works, etc., and have them act as administrators in vast corners of the world. Make sure that the Mandarinate sees itself as a class transcending all local loyalties, with common interests and a common imperial perspective. Make sure that the people aspire to join the imperial bureaucracy and idealize the multi-ethnic elite rather than more parochial and local ones. Create a corporatist mechanism for collective bargaining between workers and owners, subordinate to the Mandarinate, and by extension, the world government itself. This will serve to mitigate class tensions, which will assist in maintaining the system's overall stability. Create a space agency with the specific goal of extraterrestrial resource extraction and colonization. Enforce extensive controls on the use of fossil fuels worldwide, most likely levy a global carbon tax in order to combat climate change. Pour financial resources into research and development initiatives for carbon capture technology and alternative fuels, and convert existing coal and oil-based power sources into nuclear and, where possible, hydroelectric power. Establish a world commission tasked with supervising the global development of artificial intelligence and spend R&D money on developing transhumanist adaptations to the rise of superintelligent machines. Place all nuclear weapons under the control of a single sovereign body. Ban the production of new nuclear arms unless explicitly commissioned by the world state. Enforce with extreme rigor. Create standardized environmental regulations to protect the world's biomass from unsustainable development practices. These will be relatively loose in order to allow local populations to adjust their regulations in ways that will still allow for a reasonable amount of development to take place. Allow for a measure of direct democracy in the sense that individual citizens will be able to propose bills for debate in the World Senate. The Senate will be directly elected and will have a fairly significant degree of legislative independence, but will be supervised and regulated by the Mandarinate in order to prevent regionalism, nationalism, or communism from re-emerging and threatening the state's stability. In order to deal with the problem of democratic legitimacy, the World Senate will also feature an upper house composed of directly elected representatives of various guilds and industries to incorporate an economic check to the political interventions of the lower house. Voting for the guild representatives will be more regulated and will not be done region by region. Create a system of imperial succession which is not based on family lineage but on proximity to the imperial executive, essentially reproducing and formalizing Roman adoptions. In order to prevent the temptation to simply pass the empire to one's biological children, children of the world emperor will be given a state pension and a series of social privileges after the ruler dies or abdicates, which will be foregone in the event that one rises to the throne. There will also be a requirement that the successor prove his or her competence and character in having held positions within the imperial bureaucracy and administration. Selection will also, finally, not simply be a matter of the emperor selecting a successor, but will require confirmation by the highest magistrates and the Senate in order to be legitimate. Finally, divide the world into various imperial administrative zones, with the head magistrates chosen from among the Mandarinate by both the upper house and the emperor, with the emperor reserving the right to veto any choice. Edit. Oh yes, and vaccinations are now mandatory.